We're right at that 0 to 1 day timeline for today's winter storm. Very little changes made today, but we are talking a little bit of different amount of totals, and we'll get to there in just a second here. Sleet and freezing rain. That's the big question marks for today on how far north they'll actually make it. Winter storm warnings all across the state and pretty much across the entirety of the southern United States and southwestern. Here's a great picture of just how large this is, stretching from El Paso all the way up towards Boston and parts of Maine. That's over 2,000 miles, 2,200 miles long of warnings and watches that the vast majority of the country is under, even heading towards parts of Louisiana and Mississippi and southern Tennessee. Now, big question of the day. Are we mostly going to get snow, or is there those chances for freezing rain and sleet to increase by tomorrow morning? Here's what MaxTrax is showing right now. Snow out towards our west, starting to get closer and closer towards us and actually reaching the ground. There's a lot of dry air over us right now, so things that are falling may not be reaching the ground for us here in Kentucky. Not the same for Arkansas, Missouri, eastern Oklahoma. Those pinks you see and further south in Arkansas, that's more of that wintry mix that could be a big headache for us forecasters out there. So as we go throughout the rest of the morning hours, we'll see light flurries that'll quickly start to change into more snow heading overnight and into tomorrow morning throughout the afternoon. Temperatures are going to stay in the teens. All of us mostly staying with snow throughout today and through much of the evening. Now, the pinks start getting closer, and what that means is that wintry mix. Those temperatures in the upper 20s, Harlan, Williamsburg, maybe even in the Monticello, you start dealing with the warm nose. That's the biggest headache that all of us are dealing with right now. Just how far north that warm nose will go. And what that warm nose is an area of warm air. Think of it as this way. All precipitation starts as snow. It goes down, it stays as snow. It enters an area that's above freezing, it melts. And depending on how big that area is, it can refreeze into sleet, or it can change into a super cooled raindrop, meaning that's more freezing rain. And that's where you get that precipitation that freezes on impact. That's the big question. Are we dealing with more sleet, or are we going to deal with the chance for more ice? We still see that overnight as it's starting to get closer and closer towards us. Now, temperatures are going to be in the teens, so it might be more of a sleet event by the time we reach tomorrow morning. Now, but the question is, how far north those temperatures warm up to be. This is using the Euro. We see more rain in the south. That's that freezing rain, chance for ice. Jackson, London, Somerset, as far north as Richmond by tomorrow morning. That's when we do see that chance for more sleet. If you're into the teens and 20s, north of Richmond, still looking like sleet for the most part. Covington, you're dealing with mostly snow. You're one of the lucky ones out there. And as we go throughout the day on Sunday, that mix keeps going north. More into sleet by the late morning and the early afternoon hours. Could see more freezing rain further south, especially London, north towards Richmond even. And that continues throughout the day as those temperatures warm up. Again, how far north it goes will determine how much ice and sleet we see before we finally kick this storm that occurred by the time we enter Monday morning and just deal with that very cold air. So we talked about a new update. Here it is from all of us here, 6 to 10 inches plus sleet, freezing rain now possible for us in the Lexington area. Further south you go, Richmond out to Jackson, 4 to 8 inches. Sleet and a chance for that ice storm, and our friends in the southeast extreme, Harlan, looking at you, Williamsburg, Monticello, further south is when you see those chances for still that chance for ice and rain. Of course, all of this greatly lies on how far north that warm air gets. If we see it staying cold for us here in Lexington, we're looking on the higher end. Sleet and freezing rain will cut into how much snow we get. But the main question is, when do we see the sleet? If it stays sleet, does it stay snow? A lot of different scenarios on the board here. All depends on what we get tomorrow morning and how temperatures do in fact change. But it's still going to be a big winter storm that's going to greatly affect how Lexington's going to handle or move around, and same for the entirety of the Commonwealth. So of course, stay home if you can. Temperatures will be in the teens. Winter storm today and tomorrow, heavy snow at times. Still the chance for that freezing rain tomorrow morning. Stay home if you can. Do not travel and just hunker down at home.